1. Good day, ladies and gentlemen. This is Watson Michael from Ceylon Institute of English and Leadership. And once again, we are glad to have Phil, Andrew, Barbb back with us. So for all those who don't know, Phil is a 2-time Emmy nominated TV producer working on projects with Netflix, Fox, CBS, and many others. He's also a performance coach for entrepreneurs, creatives, and business professionals. Also, the most interesting part is he's authored a great book. The name of the book is All the Reasons I Hate My 28-Year-Old Boss, which is a fun book, a very interesting book where you can gain immense knowledge. So Phil, welcome back. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. It's the 2-time Emmy nominated was fine, but I really wanted to be a 2-time guest on your show. That's really what I'm the most proud of is 2 times I've been on your show. So thank you so much for having me, man. It's great to see you again.
Such an honor to have you, buddy, back. So Phil, we find it very interesting these days with the younger generation joining the workforce, and we find the work culture has changed a lot. So what do you think about, or what are your views on a transparent work environment?
We are definitely experiencing a unique it's a trend that's been happening, but it's definitely a unique that we have so many different people. We have so many different generations that are in the workforce.
Yes.
Everything from people that are, you have the older generation that's working longer. They're staying in there. It's not, 62 and then they're out, or 64 and then they're out. We have people working into their 60s, into their 70s, into their 80s.
Yes.
And then we have almost in a way, we have the speeding up of generations, because where, a 50-year-old might not have even really been raised that much differently than a 60-year-old or a 40-year-old. The gaps in those generations is nowhere near as large as even now. You could have a 21, 22-year-old that's vastly different than a 26, 27-year-old. So it almost feels like how much these generational changes, and I'm not talking about generational in like the normal, just 10 years, 15 years, but like the way that people are being raised, what they're being exposed to, how people are, what they learn, what they're gravitating to, what's important to them. I think that diversity across it always adds a very, it fills out a workforce or an environment, but differences can create challenges, right? When people have different mindsets, different ideas, different thoughts about how something should be done, how it shouldn't be done. And also what people are motivated by, even you could be 35 years old and all you want to do is make money and work hard. You're willing to do the 80 hours a week, and you get to 50, 55, maybe you still have that, or maybe you're like, hey man, I just want to raise my family. I just want to sit and watch TV at the end of the day. I don't want to be tethered to my phone. I don't want to feel like I have to work from 6 a.m. until I go to bed. So I think the changes is something that is definitely very unique for our current culture. I think when we talk about transparency in the workplace, I think a lot of it comes down to communication, right? When when we're holding back our intentions, what we're expecting of people, both high and low, people above us, people below us on the depth chart of a organization. When we hold back information from people, there's elements of, for lack of a better term, kind of manipulating. We're manipulating some of those relationships. So I think, look, at the end of the day, the CEO of a company is not going to be able to divulge every piece of information to the, will not be able to divulge the information to every person that's in the organizational chart of the company. However, I think that the more and more that we want to work positively with each other, we can start to really understand that people are not just their job title. People are not just their job or their career tasks.
Correct.
We're all individual people that are coming to a job because we have to work because it's part of our society. And the more we can appreciate people as an individual, someone that's there to do a job, but they're also a person that wants to go and watch Monday Night Football, or they're a person that wants to go spend time with their spouse or their fiance or their, when we start to really understand that every business is a person business. We are dealing with people. And so the more and more we can connect with people on a real level, right? Look, I'm not telling everyone that you need to share your deepest, darkest secrets with everyone at the workplace. That's not safe, right? Not everyone is a safe, not everyone is a safe advocate or a safe, a supporter. But I think the more that we can be honest, transparent with what we are, what we expect of others, what we feel that they expect of us, the more that we can really understand those relationships, the better off we are in the workplace, being able to deal with people that are different than we are, or that we perceive as different than we are. And so once you have that laid out on the thing, I think or on the table, it provides the ability for us to have deeper communication, which better communication leads to better understanding. When we understand things more, it means that we're going to perform the task better and the way that it was designed to be done. So I think the transparency, the communication, at the end of the day, it leads to people being able to perform what they've been hired to do better because they're more understanding of what exactly is expected of them.
Absolutely. Totally agree with you on that. So based on that, I love the name of your book, right? All the Reasons I Hate My 28-Year-Old Boss. So can you talk about an interesting chapter from your book?
Yeah. As I, in diving back into the book, and it's funny because I wrote the book in 2019. I'd written the book. I launched the book in January of, I think December of 2020 or 2019 was when it came out. And I did the book launch and right before the pandemic, right? So it was like crazy timing. And then I released the book, then I released the ebook came out, and then I went and recorded the audiobook. And so it's available on Audible and doing those things. So I've actually gone back a couple of times and reread the book. And I think one of the things that's really important for us to understand is one of my favorite chapters in the book is chapter 5. And I would be a terrible salesman if I didn't at least put the book out there. I've got the crazy green screen, so it's you don't see all of it. But the chapter that I love it's called "He Has So Much to Learn," and the way that the book is designed is each chapter is a reason why you would maybe hate your 28-year-old boss. But what I really love about this, so the tagline is "He has so much to learn," and the little sentence underneath it is, this little I'll edit it for your podcast. This little jerk doesn't know anything about life. And what I think I love about that chapter is in that chapter, I actually end up sharing a lot of my personal story of battling substance abuse issues due to the death of my mother when I was in adolescent, when I was in high school. I was 15 years old when my mother passed away from cancer. And I think what I love about that chapter is I shared, I always joke, like I'm very much like a cartoon character, right? Like I got big hair and I'm very loud and I kind of look like a little bit of a, I could be a little bit like Johnny Bravo, which is a cartoon character here in the States, mixed with,
I remember
California and all this.
One of my favorites.
But there were so many things about, I come off as very bro-y or very, very like athlete, captain of the football team type deal. But, I had a decent amount of things that caused some trauma in my life as an adolescent that you might not guess about me, right? I've been sober now, I've been sober from substance abuse, no drugs, no alcohol since, January, coming up in January will be 15 years since I've, So, but it's one of those things that you really wouldn't know me unless you really sat and had a deeper conversation. If you only saw me as Phil, the TV producer, or Phillip, the coach, right? Oh, he's doing this, he's working on, if you only saw me by my job title, you would miss really knowing who I am, not what I do, not my job title or what I do or the Emmy nominated, blah, blah, but like genuinely know who I was at my core and at my heart. And so in that chapter, I really, I share a lot of kind of like the emotional stuff about my story. And I think that that's something that we often shy away from. Because we look at, we don't want to ever give somebody ammunition in the workplace they could maybe use against us. Maybe we're not comfortable with our own stories, but we talk so much about the social media world and what people are showing and the facade versus who they really are. We are at a time where we crave authenticity.
Yes, absolutely.
We crave authenticity in people. We want to know who the person is we're dealing with on a daily basis. And I think what I love about that chapter, and not just about it being an opportunity for me to share a little bit of my story, but I think it shows the power in being able to show people the vulnerable side, show people maybe some of our insecurities, or connect with individuals, and to where it's like people, I'll work on shows and I'll work with different celebrities or whatnot, and we'll have good conversations. And we'll have the producery Hollywood talk and the shows and the entertainment. But what I treasure are the moments that I've actually been able to connect, have a heart-to-heart conversation with somebody where I truly understand them. They truly understand me. And from that place, once we have a mutual respect, a mutual understanding that this is a human in front of me, this is a person in front of me, that isn't just this person with this resume or whatever, we're able to, I can trust someone more. Like when somebody knows where my heart is because of what I've gone through, what I like to do, what I'm not doing when I'm at work, what I enjoy, you're able to understand more about me, and you could trust me more. And when we trust each other, and when we're connected with people, we do better work, right? If you're scared all the time of somebody using information against you, or I can't trust this person, or I have to protect myself from the workplace politics, it can be difficult. And now I will say, if you're not a good, if you're not a great person, if you are backstabbing people, if you are talking behind people's backs, you're probably not a great candidate for authenticity.
Absolutely.
So if there's a piece of you that fears like, well, I don't want people knowing anything about me, I don't want them to know, I don't want to be on the spotlight. Maybe why don't you want to do that? Are you doing things that you're not proud of if everyone knew? Are you afraid of people really knowing who you are? And if that's the case, then you need to probably read a different book. So maybe my book's not the right one, but I say that jokingly, but I think I love that chapter because it, like I said, it speaks to the importance of authenticity, not in the workplace, not everywhere, being able to be genuine with people. And I think we all have a deep desire to be seen for who we are.
Absolutely.
Not for what we could provide, not for what, like for you're trying to get something from me, or I'm trying to get something from you, or you like my project. We want to be accepted for us, man. And so I feel like the more comfortable we can be with being able, like when you allow people in. And I'll say this too. There's a lot of people that feel very comfortable in who they are. Some of the times that you can help other people is when you show them what authenticity looks like, when you show them what vulnerability looks like. I do a lot of speaking with schools, and I talk to high school kids and college kids about my story and career development, but also just kind of my story of dealing with substance abuse and things. And one of the things, I'll talk to parents, because a lot of times I'll talk to the kids and I'll talk to a group of parents, and parents are always on this thing of like, well, I told my kids that they could tell me anything. Like I've always opened that door, and I don't know why they won't share with me.
Wow.
And I always ask, well, have you shared with them? Kids have no idea how to do anything that they haven't had modeled to them.
Wow.
So to expect a kid, just because you said, hey, bud,
yeah,
you could trust me, be honest with me, tell me what's going on, you could trust me, but to not then provide any idea of what, to not model the behavior of what it looks like to share your insecurities, to share your vulnerabilities, to be authentic, or to have your authenticity. They don't know how to do it. So I always encourage parents, hey, you don't need to be perfect in the eyes of your kids, because you're not. You've made mistakes, and you don't need to shy away from them out of some fear that your kid's going to walk the line that you want. What we need to do is be able to model the behaviors that we think are valuable for others. And when we share pieces of us, it allows and it opens the door for others to be able to share about them. And I think when we're able to have that type of a connection, it's bigger than our careers. We're able to really connect with people, and then we can genuinely see where people's heart is at.
True. Very true. So what I would suggest is, like, I mean, this is an ideal book even for the people in human resources, leadership roles. They can learn a lot from it, okay? Because we're still learning, okay? Because I'm not the smartest person in this room, right? So I can learn a lot of things even from a janitor or somebody who sweeps the road. Even I can learn a lot of things. And your book has so much value, Phil, right? So it covers a lot of information, and it would help a lot of people to grow themselves up. So which is very inspiring, okay, from your vast experience.
Well, thank you for that. It's a great pitch. I love that. I mean, I love that right there. So thank you very much. I appreciate it.
It's an honor. So Phil, one final thing we wanted to touch with you is, like, there is a lot of negativity these days, and you face a lot of negativity, and you face, I mean, being a TV producer, there are a lot of fake people who come. So you deal with a lot of things. So any final message to all the people who want motivation and how to avoid negativity and be strong?
Definitely. You know, there's this meme that's been floating around Instagram, and I feel like I keep seeing it the last couple of weeks. And it's this idea of, it's the illustration of a boat in the ocean.
Okay.
And it talks about how a boat will float on the water, and it can be surrounded. The boat can be surrounded with gallons and gallons and gallons and miles of water.
Yeah.
But it isn't until the water gets into the boat that the boat will sink, right? Yes. And it's a cheesy, blah, 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 motivational speaker thing. But there's some value in understanding that we can be surrounded by negativity or frustration or stress, and still be able to float and still be able to move forward. It's not until we allow that to start to seep into ourselves that we can get into trouble, right? So I think one of the things with understanding, you know, we a lot of times in television or in movies and characters, you understand that no one's trying to make mistakes for the sake of making mistakes. No one's trying, like, I won't say no one. I'm sure there are some people out there, right? But for the most of us, right? For most of us that are logical, that are that want to self-propel ourselves and self-motivated to do better, right? We always think we're making the right decision.
Yes.
Right? Or else we wouldn't have made the decision, right? We're not hugely self-sabotaging, even though we have aspects of it at times. And so I think when we can look at other people, and if they're being negative, or if we're being negative, or is understanding, like, well, why, right? Like, why would somebody be rude? Why would somebody say it that way?
Yes.
What are they actually really trying to get at? What's going on for them? That's, what's the frustration for them? Like, what's going on in their life? I always joke, right? Like, happy people are too busy being happy to be mean, right? Like, it's the people that are frustrated and feel like they don't have a voice, or are so sick, or that's when you start to dive into these spirals of negativity. And like, think about it, right? Like, say, I'm having a bad day. And I woke up, whatever, my stomach doesn't feel right. So I go to the store and I go to buy something, and maybe I'm a little short with the person that's at the cash register. Like, I'm busy. I'm checking. Hey, does this thing even work? What's going on here? And they're like, man, I got to deal with another guy who's frustrated. So that maybe they're not as nice to me.
Yes.
So now you're rude. So not only did my stomach hurt, this guy's rude. And now I'm pissed. And now my day sucks. So maybe the next person I interact with I'm not as nice to them. Yeah. And then they're not as nice to me because and we get caught in these spirals of constantly, we're fueling the negativity and the frustration, and we're fueling it because it's what we're actually putting out and we don't even realize it. Yes. Whereas if we were take that second, we're like, hold on, my stomach hurts a little bit. Okay. But I'm alive today. I have a job today that I get to go to so that I can earn money to provide for myself and provide for my family.
Yeah.
Is there going to be hardship? Of course, right? There's aspects of life that have struggle involved, but like I have an opportunity today to live and do some cool. All right. I want to approach this day with a little bit more of gratitude. And you approach someone with that.
Yes.
And now, not everybody, you're not going to be the light that sparkles everybody's day.
Yeah.
But maybe that's enough of an armor to keep some of that negativity out of your boat. Absolutely. Maybe it's enough of you're not attracting negativity because you're not putting it out. Maybe it's now maybe you give a smile to someone. How about maybe you ask them how their weekend was, but you actually care about the answer.
True.
How about you ask them, hey, how you doing? And you actually listen to the answer. A lot of people, especially people that are struggling or frustrated, will tell you a lot in the way they answer the simplest question of, hey man, how you doing?
Yeah.
If you're in a great mood, hey man, how you doing? Dude, I'm having a great day, man. How are you doing? Okay. Hey man, how you doing? Ah, man, it's all good. Okay, cool, bud. You leave. And you're like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
There's a little cry for help in that of like, no, I'm not all good. I'm frustrated. I'm at work. Same day, another day. Here we are. Oh yeah, man, same thing, different day.
Yes.
People give us all these little cues all the time, but we're not listening. And it's like, and that adds to some of the frustration. If we feel like no one, our voice isn't being heard. Is anyone going to notice me here? Does anyone notice me doing my job? Does anyone even care that I showed up on time? Like, and I think that when we enter into life and we make a decision that I'm going to operate, I'm going to have more gratitude, I'm going to be a kinder person to other people. Yeah. We slowly are able to rise other people. And there's, I don't know why I'm on a ship analogy thing today, but there's the other analogy, right? Of, rising tides brings up all ships or something like that, whatever. It's like, it doesn't cost anything to be kind to someone. It doesn't cost anything to actually take a moment and genuinely want to hear how they're doing. Yes. And if you can be that person, I'll tell you this story real quick. It was sure. For me, I had I've been in television now for 13 years. Worked on some pretty big shows. I'm currently just wrapped a show here in the States called Dancing with the Stars. Before that, I was on a show called Love Island, right? So some of the larger shows. And I had a moment in my career where I was kind of getting to that place of, you're like, does this even matter? Like, I feel like I'm going through the motions. Like, what does this project say about me? Am I working on, I only want to work on the stuff that I'm passionate about. And I only want to work on, what was this? And I was frustrated with where I was at in my career. Yes. Kind of that 7-year itch, which a lot of people know about. And I actually was like, wait a minute, hold on. I'm trying to say, I'm looking at this whole thing of, what does this show say about me? Yeah. What does this TV project say about me? What does my job say about me? Yeah. And what can I get from this job to help me feel better about myself? And I was like, well, wait a minute. What if I were to shift it? Yeah. And instead of making, what does the job say about me or what I go, now I don't look at it as like, is this show something that I'm really passionate about, or am I really interested in the content? Or, but I go, who do I get to be on set? Can I be the guy? Can I make the show better for the people working on the show, my coworkers, because of who I am? Can I encourage my coworkers? Can I be a smile? Yeah. Can I listen? Can I be a motivator? Can I encourage? And when I started looking at every show as that, right? Yeah. We're not going to always be able to pick every project we work on, or, the boss brings you a report and you might not love that report or whatever it is, or, but we always have the opportunity to look and say, who am I going to be in this environment? Correct. And for me, it really changed when I started to say less about what do I need to take from this job and more about what can I provide for this environment? How do I make it so that it's fun to work with me? I want it to be fun. I want people to be like, who are you on that project with? They're like, oh, I'm working with Phil Barbb. And they're like, oh, dude, I love that guy. Like he's, you know, not because I need it for other people to give me accolades, but because that's who I want to be. I want to be known. You know, I've always said, you know, on my, and I'll wrap up on this, you know, a lot of people talk about like the eulogy test, right? Like you write your eulogy and it's like, what would you want people to say? If I were to die tomorrow and we're at my funeral in 2 weeks from now, and if people are there at my funeral and they're saying, man, I'll tell you what, Phil was a great TV producer, man. He was a great TV producer. Yeah. I'd feel like that was such a failure. If that was what they knew and remembered me by, was the work that I did. Yeah. What I hope, and I genuinely mean this, and what I hope is I would pray that people would say, you know, when I went through my, you know, when I knew I was going to get a divorce, Phil was my first person I called. When I was dealing with substance abuse issues and I needed to make a change and I called Phil, he picked up the call and he was there for me. Spot on. And, you know, or someone that was like, you know what, I was really struggling in my career and Phil was willing to like listen to me and hear me out and provide some, like, I want people to remember me for the moments that I showed up as a person in their life that could be there to be an emotional support. Now, look, I'm not telling, that's not the end all be all for everyone. Not everyone aspires to have that type of, and I get that. I'm not saying that like, and I don't do it, and I don't do it out of a place of wanting to be Mother Teresa, right? Like that's not, for me, I know I'm a better man and I feel better about my life and I'm more at peace and at calm when I'm being of service to other people. Yeah. And when I'm being genuinely caring for other people. Yeah. And so I feel like a lot of times what we have to do is we look at what, like, if you're frustrated, if you're not liking what you're going through, if life is kind of kicking you a little bit, instead of looking and immediately saying like, why do I need to change? And what are all these external things that need to shift? Yeah. Take a second, be like, what am I bringing to the table? Where am I having some maybe character defects, some flaws? And what are some simple changes that I can make now? You might not be able to change your job tomorrow. You might not be able to just all of a sudden get a brand new job, a high paying job that you wanted to do. Right. Yeah. It might take time to develop new skills, blah, 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 blah. Correct. But we all have the ability to change how we're showing up in a moment. Yeah. And you could change that tomorrow. And so I would hope that, you know, with the book, I really hope that it provides some good tactical, like how to deal with frustrations in the workforce, how to be able to encourage and empower yourself, but also how do you gain some new perspective on some of the problems you're facing and not be so problem focused and be more solution focused. And how do we grow? And not only how do we grow, how can we create it so that we can be able to open the door and help others through the door, you know? So I hope that that's something that, you know, if someone is still listening this deep into the podcast, I hope you heard something that you enjoyed. Yeah. And I really appreciate it if you decide to read the book or listen to the Audible. I think right now I've got the Audible priced at like $2.99 or something. Wow. Okay. So it's like, I don't care about the money of the book sales or how many of the sales. I just want to be able to provide some information for people. And I read the book exactly how I talk. So if, you know, I try to be fun and I try to be lighthearted and I try to get it across, very high energy. So if you've enjoyed this, you'll probably enjoy the book and definitely like hit me up, like, let me know. I'm Instagram, Facebook. You can send, you know, my email is phillipandrewla@gmail.com. You can, and it's not some assistant that answers, it'll be me. And so I would love to hear from you if you decide to dive into the book and tell me what you liked about the book. And if you didn't like the book, I'd love to hear why not. So you get to yell at me, or you can be, you know, or you can tell me what you enjoyed. So I hope you guys will check out the book, and I really appreciate just being able to be on here and talk a little bit about it. And hopefully I you know, what I will challenge, and I'll end on this. I know I talk a lot. If you're listening to this podcast and you're this deep into the podcast and you've listened to the whole thing, do me a favor, take out a piece of paper and a pen and write down just one thing that is standing out to you right now. One thing about what's been discussed between, you know, with us on this podcast. Write one thing that might be a shift or something you want to investigate, or a different mindset you could do, or a different activity you could do. Just write one thing down. Don't let this be a podcast that you spent 30 minutes listening to, and then it becomes in the sea of books you've read and podcasts you've listened to and things you've done that didn't actually change or help you for the better. Take this opportunity. You spent the time to listen. So take an extra minute, write something that can actually impact you positively for the future.
Absolutely. Wise words. So Phil, thank you very much for taking time from busy schedule and doing this podcast with us. And for all those watching, just go ahead. You can buy this book on Amazon Kindle. So it doesn't need to be the hard copy. You can buy this book on Amazon Kindle. And if you're complaining you don't have time to read, you can go ahead and purchase the audio version of it.
The only thing that's the only negative thing I'll say about it is I talk so fast that you can't put it on like 2x. I read books. I read a lot. I read about 20, 25 books a year. And some I read in the book and others I do Audible. But on Audible, I always have it at 1.5 or 1.8 or whatever. You're not going to be able to speed up the book with me because I'm talking fast anyway. But it's only like a 2-hour, 3-hour read. So you could jam through it, get through it pretty quick. So, but I really appreciate you having me on, man. Thank you so much. And like I said, to anyone that is stuck around this long on the podcast, thank you so much for hanging out with us and listening to me talk.
Thanks, guys. And once again, thanks, Phil.
Thank you.